Hello lovely ones, and welcome to another Galactic Mind Astrology Report with me, Rebecca Marie. So today is Lughnasadh, the 1st of August. It's 2026 and it's also the first day of Blue Eagle Wavespell. We are approaching the end of the Tolkien spin, which is the 260-day human evolution portal that these Wavespell videos are about. Have you got this yet? If you haven't got your copy yet, time is ticking on. It's available worldwide. Made it really easy this year. No matter where you are, you just click buy and within a few days it's going to be in your hands, which is delightful, you know, and it's a page a day for you to record your musings. It teaches you all about the Dreamspell. It's a really excellent resource, something that I've been creating for a long time. And yeah, get your copy in the description or in the comments. I hope that you had a fantastic entry into the new galactic year. So sometimes with these cycles of time, particularly when they like synchronize so that they're quite close together, it's like, wait a minute, you've just said that there's a new cycle, now there's another new cycle. Like, what are you on about? But we've got this like 260-day cycle, which is the human gestation period. But then we've also got this yearly cycle, this 13-moon cycle that we go through. And it just so happens that this year, the two reboots of the cycle are quite close together. So we've just moved through the Sirius New Year portal, and we're kind of a week into experiencing the red galactic moon of integrity, which is what we're going to be living through until next July, which is really this code around the divine feminine. And what does that mean? You know, really, how do we redefine that relationship to, you know, the spiritual waters? How do we live that in a way that isn't magnetizing persecution and isn't magnetizing exhaustion? There's another video that I've made all about that, so we don't need to go into that now, but we're a week in, so I hope that that your entry into the year has been really beautiful. But as I say, today's energy, the energy that we move into today, is the second to last. I'm just looking at my calendar here. It's the second to last Wavespell 13-day process of the 260-day human evolution spin. So that's significant in itself, you know, when we go through these 13-day processes, they all build on one another, right? It's like a baton of evolution that gets passed from one archetype to another. And I don't necessarily mean like an archetype as a being, I mean an archetype as a frequency, as an energetic that as human beings we have to experience. And you know, our personal astrology, you know, when we were born, what the energy was kind of doing when we came through the veil, means that that particular energy is a focus for us in this life. You know, these are the themes that we're working on, but all of the archetypal energies that we move through, we are on one level, you know, so each one of them's got its own medicine. So the fact that this is the second to last process before the snake eats its tail and we start anew on a different rung of the spiral of evolution means that we are in this energy of, you know, integrating a lot of lessons, integrating a lot of magic. And this is why it's at this point that the energy of Blue Eagle comes in, because the Blue Eagle as an archetype is blue, so it's about transformation, but the energy of the eagle is about purpose, it's about service, and it's only at the end of, even though it's a continuous spiral, it's only at the end of our inner transformations and processings that we have the medicine to then be of service to others. And it's not You know, I think the thing that's really clear about this particular incarnation, you know, the mystery school is alive in the everyday. Maybe it always has been, but who knows? All I know that now it very much is. So it's, you know, not about the trainings, it's about the alchemizing of our human experience, and, you know, what are the themes that we have chosen to journey this lifetime. And your astrology can really reveal that. You know, I am offering readings again on my Etsy, along with lots of other jewels. So I'll pop a link to that as well if you want to get to know your own personal astrology. But it's at this moment of like self-knowledge, of gnosis, of inner revelation. You know, an inner revelation isn't just about like the recognition of spirit, of God, of whatever. It's about, you know, this Jungian process of bringing the shadow to light, of being able to recognise the aspects of us that have been operating unconsciously and trying to no avail, heal the things that have happened to us through avoiding them or replaying them. So the blue eagle is really this like cultivator energy of like, this is what I've lived and therefore this is what I bring. You know, sometimes we can go and like feel really drawn to a thing. We go through the process of the thing, but until we've really integrated and live it, integrate the medicine of it and lived it, you know, it's not going to land properly. And it doesn't matter how much marketing training we do, it doesn't matter how much we push and we try and we strive and all that jazz. It's like, it's a frequency. It's a frequency transmission, and that frequency transmission is then what magnetizes us to the situations where our gifts and our magic can naturally land with the right people in the right way, or right creatures, or, you know, whatever your thing is. So the other element of the blue eagle is about this like zoomed out perspective. You know, if we think about how the eagle exists, you know, there's this real bigger picture. And as I say, you know, today in the Celtic calendar is this celebration of harvest, but yesterday I went on this really deep cookie trail because we had the last call for Synchronise, which has been a profound, beautiful journey. And in that discovery of the myths around what this time is about, like the mythic story, very, very briefly, without going into all the different threads of it, is essentially about, you know, a woman, a human woman that had been a queen that adopted a son of the Fae in order to foster peace, exhausting herself to the point of death, and then her son, post-death, creating a collective ritual, ceremony, celebration to honour his mother's sacrifice. Being in this energy of red moon, you know, really being in this time of, we're in the middle, past the middle of the 13-year process that we're in as a collective, which is about, you know, alchemization and being able to command reality and waking up to our mystical selves. We then hit this year that's about like feminine integrity, and it's not about women, it's about the energy of the feminine, you know, this kind of nurturing energy that is often, particularly resonant in the modern world, pushed to the point of exhaustion. And it's then like, that's how we appreciate it, you know, oh, the ones that can do all of the things, the ones that give until there's nothing left, the ones that, you know, that's kind of what we've exalted. But actually, you know, as I kind of dug into the myths and was looking at all of the codes and the energies, it's like, how do we create that ceremonial boundary and protection and the ritual to protect that energy of the feminine, of the nurture, of the creativity, of the sacred waters, of the Grail bearers to be able to be abundant. You know, how does that inner masculine energy protect before the collapse and the exhaustion? And as we kind of journeyed this synchronized portal together, I think the things that were really apparent in terms of like, you know, our service to the world and this moment in humanity, you know, there's just as much going on in the inner realms as there is on the external. And I think it's so easy to be like looking at the external and being like, what's my purpose? How do I make things better? You know, what is the fight that I'm picking up? Or even like reconnecting to histories. This was another thing that came up, and, you know, recognizing these horrendous oppressions and persecutions that have happened, and then almost like merging our identity with that. So it's like we merge with the pain body of it. But actually, you know, there's simultaneously this really deep inner journey that's happening where we're bridging like ancient ways in the modern time. We're bridging the capacity for feeling with the intellect. We're bridging, you know, what's been with what's to come, the soul and the human, you know, all these different energies internally. We're balancing responsibility and freedom, you know, and I think the way that we're kind of doing that, or have been doing that, has been quite extreme. It's like we swing from one to the other. Over responsibility, avoidance of responsibility, or, you know, too much in the spiritual realms, not enough in the I need to be looking after myself as a human, or, you know, whatever it is. It's like, and then now, you know, our collective purpose is revealed through the galactic year, you know, and that is the energy of the red galactic moon this year. Galactic tone, the 8th energy, being about integrity, you know, and I've heard lots of people define integrity as different things, but I think the thing that came through really strong on the course was about how closely do I live what I believe? What do I believe in? And I think that's something that, you know, when it comes to this blue eagle energy and like our purpose, and I would say that that's the primary inquiry, like what do I believe in, you know, and am I able to be that in the world? And if I'm not able to be that in the world, then that's my mission, right? It's like, how do I create space where I can be that in the world? And this bigger picture of like contextualizing ourselves properly. This is another thing that, you know, has really been coming up these past few days. It's like the modern world is so fucking noisy and there's so many distractions from being that it's, you know, even the idea of stepping back to contextualize is pretty fucking radical. But actually, when we think of, you know, ourselves in relation to history, ourselves in relation to multidimensional reality, ourselves in relation to what our ancestors lived and went through, and all these different elements, from there, then, you know, it's a different, we're working with the bigger picture. And it, you know, I think it works, it's beautiful because it offers this almost like legacy support. So we feel less alone, we feel less adrift, and we can see, like, this is why I'm obsessed with like collecting histories, true histories, you know, the histories of the oppressed that didn't make the cut to the official narrative. Because with that, and also like the histories of my family and all these different threads, it's then like, okay, what I'm living isn't just a drift, isn't just a mistake, isn't just a, oh, humanity's gone off course, isn't just a, what the hell is happening here, why aren't we nurturing the connection, you know, all that stuff. It's like, oh, that's why that thing happened and that thing happened and that thing happened, and that then led here. So the bigger picture then allows, like, okay, so here is defined as all of those things, and therefore me stepping forward from here is in context to all of those things. So I'm really taking into account the bigger picture, that then allows the forward step to be conscious and purposeful. It's not to say that we're not constantly going to get drawn into, you know, all of the other things that the pain body needs us to go into in order to be evolved and all of that jazz and magic. But it's really, I think the big thing is like, know self through knowing context, through knowing bigger picture. And yeah, there is the journey, and it's not my journey, but it's a different journey. There is a journey of like the disconnection from any kind of identity, and you know, the Eckhart Tolle, none of it's real, it's all imagined, we're all just energy, there is no story, come out of it all. But that's not my journey, and I don't feel that we all have the same path in this incarnation. We all have the same method toward enlightenment. Maybe that's not the right word because I feel like it's a very charged word. But I think for me, I'm an alchemist, you know, and alchemy requires base material. And if we don't have a base material, we're not doing the alchemy process. But that doesn't say that everyone's an alchemist. But I know that that is my path this lifetime. So as we are able to contextualize, we're then able to know self, and through knowing self, you know, the contextualization also is like our astrological makeup. You know, it's like all the layers of like, okay, when I came into the human experience, this was the collective history, this was my personal history, this is what the astrology was doing, all these different elements that then have created the self that I am embodying. And from that, it's like, okay, now I'm closer to this idea of what my purpose is, what I'm here to bring, what I'm here to do. You know, from there, it's like, okay. And the other thing that's become really, really apparent is like, I do feel that for me, you know, there's been moments in my life where I've been like fighting to create change, putting myself into, you know, the whole mythical, exhausted breakdown is the only moment that you can stop feminine vibe. But then there's simultaneously been this other track of like, this stuff that just pours out of me very easily without any effort, that feels really nourishing, that it almost becomes invisible. The other thing that really came up last night, which is, you know, it's a very Dreamspell concept really, because within the Dreamspell is this whole idea of like, the definition of time is how society is defined, and, you know, time being money has defined collective reality and humanity in a way that is, you know, quite enslaved. Whereas the reframe of it is that time is art, and humans are artists. You know, people are artists, and, you know, to be an artist, again, not just jumping into, oh, what am I creating, what am I crafting, what am I giving to the world as an artist? It's like, no, like the artistry is in the creation of our reality. Like, what does your life look like? What does your world look like? How do you decorate your life frame? How do you spend and invest your time? You know, what do you co-create with others? What do you co-create in space? You know, all of that stuff is creativity, is art, is creation. So primary purpose really is to know self, and then to create from self the reality that feels in alignment with self. And, you know, then that all just distills into this like sovereignty notion of, you know, are we creating from that space of choice? We're living from that space of choice, or, you know, are we creating from a place of obligation, or from a place of wound, or from blah 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 blah. So as we move through this 13 days, you know, the second to last 13 days of the 260-day spin, my friend is pissing me off, it keeps going in my eyes. There we go. We are asked to feel into the bigger picture of our lives, of our being, and how deeply aligned with our purpose we feel. And I'm feeling that I want to share with you the poem. Oh, it will be in the new diary. The poem for the Blue Eagle Wavespell. So here it is. In this diary, there's every 13 days, every Wavespell, there's a poem that encapsulates the energy. So, Blue Eagle Wavespell. Remember to always breathe out. When you step back and perceive, the whole picture may feel as if something is out of kilter. Nothing is ever wrong, my dear. It is exactly as it should be. All seems a mess as we go through transformation, but as we grow through our hearts, we see. The mess is a match for our magic if we let it inform our wing beats. We are guided to the places our sacred medicine and essence can treat. You are here to soar, to travel and inform, to shake up dull energy with a transformational core. But also remember to settle those feathers every once in a while, receive the wisdom of stillness, review and integrate after every trial. From there, with a full cup, you can give all you're meant, fulfilling your destiny and living with wings fully outstretched. So my darlings, I hope that you have a delightful 13 days as a Blue Eagle and a gorgeous Lamas and a beautiful moment of space within this Wavespell. I send you all my love.